there's no TikTok.
Let's talk about the world's most famous band, the Beatles. The Beatles are the world's most influential band. It's a band that formed in Liverpool, England in the 1960s. It's been pretty much 60 years and the entire world knows who the Beatles are. To this day, that's how influential these guys are. Let's talk about some interesting facts about the Beatles. Before I start, let me introduce to you the band members. This is George Harrison, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and the Beatle that nobody cares about, Ringo Starr. Just kidding, not really. Fact number 1, the Beatles didn't think they would be popular in the United States. They were wrong. The Beatles appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show in New York, drew a huge television audience. They sold out shows everywhere they went in the United States. The band was highly influenced by American pop, but initially they weren't sure if Americans would be open to a foreign band. Fact number 2, the Beatles actually started the long hair trend. Long hair became popular in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Instead of this being the popular hairstyle for men, it became this. So yeah, they're the ones who started that trend. Whatever the Beatles were doing, everybody else was following. Fact number 3, John Lennon made a controversial statement in the 1960s. More popular than Jesus. More popular than Jesus is a part of a remark made by John Lennon of the Beatles in March 1966 interview, in which he argued that the public were more infatuated with the band than with Jesus, and that the Christian faith was declining to the extent that it might be outlasted by rock music. The public did not take that remark so kindly. In cities throughout America, throughout the world, England, people would take their Beatles albums and they would burn it, and break them and throw them in the trash. I mean, saying this kind of thing is not a very smart thing to do now. And there aren't as many Christians now as there were back then. So saying this remark back then is very dumb. But yeah, I guess pride got the best of him. Alright, fact number 4. In 1967, the Beatles came out with one of their most famous albums, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club in 1967. On the cover of this album you see here, all the people in the back are who the Beatles thought were some of the most influential people in the world. One of these influential people you see on the cover right here happens to be a famous occultist Satanist. Some of you might recognize this man. This is Aleister Crowley, a very influential man in the music industry. Aleister Crowley was an occultist Satanist back in the day, and his nickname was the Great Beast 666. This is his most famous philosophy: do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. And what this basically means is do whatever you want, please yourself. Find and follow your own will, not God's will, not anybody else's will, but your own will. And that is the most righteous thing you can do. The Beatles were very much influenced by this philosophy of do what thou wilt, do your own will. In fact, they put it in their song called Think for Yourself. So yeah guys, that was it. They're the ones who brought the drug revolution, sexual revolution, and that sure worked out great, huh?